Okay, we are currently looking into strings and different methods of strings that we have. A few of the methods that we have gone through yesterday, and few of the methods we'll be going through with in our today's session. So if you talk about like the complete strings that we have in TypeScript or JavaScript, both are almost similar. There is no difference at all. But the only difference that we have seen over here is that it appends the type as well. That means what kind of data type that we are trying to use at the time of storing. We know that whenever we declare a variable using string, that will always be considered as a string data type. So either you mention it over here as string or you do not. TypeScript will automatically be able to consider that whether that is a string or not. So if you see over here, in terms of str4, we did not mention that whether we have declared a string or what. But if you hover over on this, it automatically says that it is a type of string. Okay, let's go ahead from here and discuss few of the methods, or the other methods that we have as part of string. So yesterday we have seen like a few of the methods which it starts with, ends with, includes, concat, char@. We have also seen a property as known as length. Whenever we have to get the number of elements available, number of character available inside a string. We have also seen index of and last index of. Now we have couple of more method which is important that we'll be discussing over here. The next one is known as replace. So replace will accept a couple of parameters. Replace will accept a couple of parameters. One is like, what is the value that we are trying to replace? So search value. And what is the value that we are trying to replace with? That means a new value. So what replace will do is, in generally, replace method will replace it basically returns a new string by replacing the string that we are trying to replace inside another string. So what happened in general is, if we see the definition of this is, it returns a new string. So in general, either you use any of the programming language, string will never get changed. That means whenever we declare a string, that will never get changed. That will always be existing. It will return a new string whenever we try to modify or whenever we try to add anything. It will just return the new string, but original string will always be similar. As we have seen over here, whenever we are trying to concatenate yesterday, we have seen that the original string used to remain same itself, which is str1 hello. But we have done some kind of concatenation, some kind of modification, and it returns us a new string. But whatever the original string that we declared, that will always be staying over there itself. That means the original string will never get changed in any of the programming language whenever we use a concept of string, either you use JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, Java, or any other language. Okay. So what, as per the definition, it says that it returns a string, returns a new string with the replacement value, with the replacement, with the replaced value, basically, values in the string. Okay. So let's see the syntax. What is the syntax for this? So if we go and check for the syntax, whatever we are trying to go for replace method, then we'll see that the syntax is simple, very simple. It is string name dot replace is a method. It takes a two parameters. One is search value and second is new value. So search value in the sense, whatever the value that we are trying to replace inside a string, and the new value with what value we are trying to replace it with. Okay. So if you see the search value over here, inside this, if you see the search value, it basically, what it will do is, let's declare one string and then we can go ahead from here. So I'll just say it as str5 equals to, this is a TypeScript string. Okay, just random, some kind of random value that I have generated over here. Okay, now let's say if you want to replace TypeScript with some other values, or TS with some other value, or string with some other values. Okay, so how do we do that? This basically, like replace method works for replacing a value, uh, and it returns the string with replaced value. What is meant that is, it replace the replace method replaces the first occurrences of a specified value and return us a new string. That means wherever the first occurrences of the value it is matching, at that point of time, it will replace the value with the new value and return us a new string. Let's say how it happens in general. So if you talk about in terms of like str equals to 5, and how do we use the replace method? By using just simply str5 dot replace. Okay, str5 dot replace is a method which takes a couple of parameters. One is searching value. Let's say the first value that I'm trying to search is TS. And second value will go as whatever the value that you are trying to replace with. The second value, I'll just mention it as JS. So if you see the definition, it replaces a text in a string using either a search string or a regular expression. Also, we can mention it over here. Okay. And now if you see over here, just try to print the value. If you try to print the value by, let's say, console log, and then try to print this particular value, you will still see that you'll see that this will generally return us a value which will print us the value, instead of like TS, it will get replaced with JS. So it is saying this is a JS string. Whenever we have to replace value inside a string, we can use the method of replace. But as I talked about earlier, if you see the str5, if you see the str5 that we have replaced with JS, for the str5, you will still see that the original string is still similar, which is this is a TS. Any kind of modification or any kind of update that we do to the string, it will return a new string, but original string will always be same. Okay, so this is about replace. It just replaces a first occurrences of the specified. We can also replace single character as well. So if you see over here, let's say I'll just say it as I with A, or I with U. Okay, so what will happen is it will not replace for all the occurrences of the I. Let's see what happened in this case. It in general just replace the first occurrences of I value. Wherever it found that the first I is appearing in a string, it replaces that value, and after that printed the other value that we have in terms of string. Okay, so it just replace the first occurrences of the value that we are trying to search. This is in general might not be useful in terms of test automation, but sometimes will be helpful in terms of writing the programs. Okay, now we have another method known as slice. We have already gone through in terms of slice in detail for array, which is the concept is exactly similar. There is no difference at all in terms of string. If you see the slice method, it says that slice takes a couple of parameters, which is start index and end index, and will return us a portion of a string. Okay, there it was portion of a portion of array, and here it is portion of a string. That means it gets a substring value from the string. It is it also known as getting the substring value, but that means some value from the complete string. Syntax is here it will be a string name dot slice start index and end index. So start index will be start index of the portion of the string. Index starts with 0. We know that inside the string as well, index start with 0. We have mentioned it over here. Index in string also starts with 0. And end index, whatever the index that we are trying to mention, that will be again exclusive, as we have seen at the time of going through with array. So the concept is same. There will not be any kind of differences in slice method. It just gets the substring from the string. Okay. Now let's say if you try to get some kind of string, which is let's say TSN string from here. What you and also end index is optional over here. If you do not mention end index, if you do not mention an end index, that means it will automatically take the till the last element of an array or last character inside a string. So we have already declared as str5 over here, and then we can say it as let's say slice str5, and then it says that the index to beginning of the specified portion of a string object. It returns a section of a string. Okay. So if you see, let's say you provide it over here as starting point as 10, and you leave the other part as blank, the second part as blank. So this will just consider the starting index. From this index to the last character of a string, it will print us. If you provide, let's say 1 to 5, or let's say 0 to 5, at that point of time, it will just consider a value which is from 0 to 4. Okay. So let's see, I'm providing over here a start index, which is 0, and end index is 4. So end index, we know that it is an exclusive. That means the end index that we are trying to provide, which is 4 over here, will not be considered. And the value will be printed till 0 to 4 minus 1. Okay. The concept is same as we have gone through in terms of array. So if you see over here, it started from 10th index, whatever the 10th index it is starting. After that, it has printed every value. And from here, we can see that it is printing us the value from 0 to 3. That means index starting from 0, ending at 3, which is this keyword over here. Okay, so this just gets a section of a string or portion of a string, known as substring as well. But we have another method which talks about the specific substring. Substring is a method. It also gets the portion of a string. That means a section of a string. It extracts character from a string between the specified index. So what it does, it extract characters from string between the provided index or between the specified index that we can talk about. Okay. Now what it does is, this is exactly similar to slice, but what is the difference between slice and substring method is, slice will also take a starting index and an ending index, and substring will also take a starting index and end index. This we can use whenever we, I mean, both of the things can be used at any point of time. And there is not such things that look like, substring, what it says is that like whatever you mention inside in whatever string that you have, and inside that, if you want to mention any index or like let's say starting index and an ending index, either you can use a slice or you can use a substring method to get the character from a string. But in general, most of the time, whenever we have to go through with like this kind of things, which is like get the section value from the string, we will mostly be going through with the substring value. Okay, so So in terms of in terms of substring, we substring is also a method available on the string, which is mostly available in all the programming language as well. Um, both of the method that we have, which is slice and substring, does the similar work, which extracts parts of string, but basically they differ in handling some of the negative values. When we select some of the negative values, what happen in general is slice method. The difference that I'm talking about over here, slice method also can take a negative indexes as well over here. That means, let's say, if you want to negative index means, so see, this is the string that we have over here, right? So this is a string basically that we have over here. From the left to right, if you see over here from T to last character G, the indexes will start with 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. But if you go in the right side onwards, which is like from right side to left side, the index starts with -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and so on. Okay, so if you count it at from the right side, the indexes will become a negative. If you count it from the left side to right side, the index will be a positive, which will be starting from 0. Whereas from the right to left, the index will start from -1. Now, if you see in terms of slice, let's say if you have to just get the string value, that means from starting from here, which is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So what we have to do is we have to place something like this, which is, let's say, clgstr5 dot slice. And that we have to mention from the negative. From where do we want to get it from? -5 to 0 value. So if you do in this way, which is like, let's say, -5 to 0. Let's see what is happening over here. -5 value comes from -1, -2, -4, -5. Let me right. So this value is a -6. So if you try to see from -6 to -1, what is -1? -1 basically is a G value over here. Let's see what is happening. So it is printing us a value from -6 to -2. That means we know that -1 will be an exclusive over here. So if you see in this way, this is slice method is also able to accept a negative index. Negative index, whenever we have to get the value from the right side of the string, we can use a negative. Now you might be wondering, like, we should have used -1 to -6. But what happened in general is, in terms of indexing, it will keep on adding 1 every time, right? In terms of indexing, or whenever it tries to do a looping concept, every time it will try to increase a index by 1. So first time it will go with -6. Second time it will become -6 plus 1, which is -5. Next time it has to go to -4, and then -3, and so on. So that is why the largest value that you see in terms of negative, which is -6 over here, that we have to mention as a start index, and the end index till what value you are trying to iterate through. Okay. So in terms of slice, it also accepts a negative value, whereas substring does not accept a negative value. That is the major difference between slice and substring. But apart from that, everything is same. This will uh, also accept a start index and then end index. Significance is same, starting index of the portion of a string, ending index of the portion of the string. Here also we have end index as an optional. So we can directly say it as string name dot substring, start index and end index. Now let's say we have the similar value, which is str5 over here dot substring. Substring is a method. It says that the zero based index number indicating the beginning of the substring. It returns the substring at the specified location with a string. It is similar to slice. The only difference is that it will not accept a negative value. So let's say if you just say it as from 0 to 5, whatever the value it comes from 0 to 5, just display me the value. So it will display with this, and then there'll be one space over here. So if you, again, like end index is exclusive over here as well. So to mention it as like, let's say 0 to 4, you'll see that only it is accepting a value, which is this. In case of, let's say 0 to 10, if you say it out over here, 0 to 10, in that case, you'll see it will display the value from 0 to 9, whatever it comes till 0 to 9 over here. Again, the end index is exclusive in substring case as well. Okay, now we have a couple of more method, which is very like self-understandable. We have something known as to lower case. Okay, what it does it converts a string to lowercase. It converts a string to a lowercase letter. Lowercase. All the value that we see, all the string value, complete string value will be converted to a lowercase. So if you see over here, we have written str5, which is this one. Let me declare str6 as well. So I'll declare something known as str6 over here by just saying this is a TypeScript string. Let's see the similar value that we are trying to do. What will happen in this case is we see that there are a couple of letter which is in the uppercase, which is T and TS is in the uppercase letter. But whenever we use two lowercase, all the characters inside the string will be converted to a lowercase value. So all the characters inside the string have been converted to a lowercase. Okay. Whenever we have to convert, sometimes what happens is like we do not know what kind of text value that we are trying to get from the string. Sometimes it can be in a lowercase, uppercase, or camel case, right? Camel case in the sense starting with all the words will start with a capital letter, but apart from that, everything will be in a lowercase. So whenever you see like the text that you have that you are trying to match inside a test automation with some value that you have received from the get text method or text content method in Playwright, and you don't know whether that will be in uppercase or lowercase. So you can convert this string into either lowercase or uppercase, and then you can compare the value at the time of validation, whether that is working or not. In terms of lowercase, in the same way, we have another method known as to uppercase. It is opposite to a to lowercase. It converts a string to a uppercase letter. All the letters, all the characters inside the string will be converted to a uppercase letter. So let's try to see for the str6 as only that we have declared. str6.2 str6.2 uppercase. Okay, what it will do is converts all the alphabetic characters in a string to uppercase later. Okay, earlier two lowercase converted all the value in lowercase. Now the two uppercase have converted all the characters, all the value that we have provided over here in terms of character have been converted into uppercase later. Okay, couple of more methods, not so important, but let's check it out. Sometimes what happens is like sometimes we'll get a text value along with the spaces inside that, right? So if you have to remove the space from both end or from left side or from right side, how do we remove the space from the string? Okay, sometimes we'll get space characters along with the string as well. So for that, we can use a trim method. Trim method is one of a method. What it does, it removes the white space from the beginning from the beginning and end of the string. End of the string. So whenever we use trim method, it will just remove the white space from the end and from the starting of the string. So let's declare a value which is this one, which we are trying to declare with str7. It is having some space over here and some space at the end. So if you see this kind of letter, most of the time, what do we do is like we'll use contains, saying that contains this is a string, ts string or not. But if you want to remove the space and then you can compare the value. So for that, we can simply use a trim method, which just removes the space from both of the end, which is starting index and ending index. Let's try to do one thing. Let's try to print the value and then you'll see the difference. So we are trying to first print the str7, and then whenever we use a trim method, what happened? We can see it over here. So if you see this one, this is having a space in the beginning, and also it is having a space at the end. Okay, but whenever you use trim method, it just trim the white space. That means just removes the white space from beginning and end of an array. It will just display the exactly whatever the value that it is having inside a string. So it removes the leading and trailing white space and a line terminator character from a string. If there are any spaces available inside the string, it will be helpful for removing those space from starting and from ending. But what about, like, let's say if I just want to remove from starting, or if I just want to remove from ending, right? If we do not want to remove from start, like beginning, or if we do not want to remove from end, how can we do that? So for that, also we have some of the method that it has given in terms of TypeScript is it is known as whenever we have to remove the space from starting or from beginning, we can use a method known as trim start. It will not accept any kind of parameter because these are the methods which just do the deletion part. It just removes the space character, like which is white space from the string. Okay, so what it does is it just simply removes the it simply removes the white space from the beginning. Whenever we use trim start, it will just simply removes the white space from the beginning. So if you see over here, which is str8.trim start, it just removes the leading white space if we have inside a string. So if you see over here, now this value, which is str8, will be displayed something like this. It is having, it has removed the leading spaces. And after that, it basically have some kind of space. So how can I understand whether there is a space available inside or not, inside this or not? So you can place it some kind of value and check. It basically removes the space from here. But if you do not mention it over here, then you'll see that the space will also remain available over here inside this particular string at the end. And we have, in terms of working with removing the end, like white space from the end, we can use a method known as trim end, trim start and trim end. So if you use a trim end method, will generally be just removing the, it will just remove the last str8 dot trim end. So what it will do is it will just remove the trailing, which is from the end of the string. It will remove the big spaces if it is having any kind of space available over here. And now if you try to print this, this is for str8. So now if you try to print it over here, you'll see that it will have a like white space available in the beginning, but at the end it has removed the space from the like trailing part of the string. That means from the end it has removed the space. Okay, so these are few of the methods that we have in terms of string. might be usable, all the methods that we have discussed, or might not be as well in terms of test automation, but few of them will always be helpful, which is length, char at. One cat also sometimes will be useful. Includes will most of the time will be using. Starts with, end with, index of, last index of, replace, slice. Substring can be useful sometimes. Two lowercase or two uppercase can also be useful sometimes. So 4 or 5 methods that we have gone through out of 15 or 16 will be useful in our test automation. But apart from that, others are for mostly for the interview purpose, as well as for um, programmings to write in TypeScript. So this is what about we have string in TypeScript. Any question in terms of this?